Greetings, nerds. This is CNN Nerd. I'm your host, Sarah Belmont, and with me, as always, is our Mr. Producer, Will Polk. How are you doing tonight, Will?
Doing very well, Sarah. How you doing this Thursday evening?
I'm doing fine. This
Nice.
I April's halfway over.
I got a long weekend coming up. I got Good Friday off tomorrow. So yeah, and I've been, right before we just hit record, I was just telling you how I've been like traveling the last 2 weeks. So I'm just looking forward to just being home and just sitting. After
Well, you're right.
it's been great being able to travel again and do things after after being holed up for the last like what 2.5 3 years. But yeah,
Right.
but still it's good to be home.
Yeah. But good luck just staying while you're home because
Yeah,
we know that doesn't happen.
yeah.
Oh man. We have a little bit of news before we talk some Picard and Moon Knight. First off, The Batman will come to HBO Max on April 18th. I
Yeah,
feel like everything is happening April 18th.
yeah. It's the Batman tax day. I was hoping to go see it again in the theater, but never was able to like carve out 3 hours to like do that again. So I definitely will be watching it again next week.
I am tempted. I'm very curious, especially in hindsight of one of the shows we'll get to later tonight. I said that the only reason why I liked watching that on the big screen is because of how dark the movie is visually.
Hmm.
And I was watching Moon Knight this past week. I was watching some of those scenes. And I'm like, I can barely tell where my screen is and the window, and it's getting lighter out. I guess there's this weird glare. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know if I'll probably check it out, but I'm curious of how I'll be like, yeah, I can't really see 50% of this film.
A lot of folks are still, you know, holding off on going to the theater and stuff, and obviously they've all been spoiled at this point, unless they have just been like, super like shutting off everything for the last like month or so. But hopefully they'll be able to enjoy the experience. But I will say, like watching things on the big screen and stuff. I, one of the things I wish I had done now and looking back at it is gone to see Dune on the big screen,
Hmm.
because I did watch it on HBO Max, and I feel like I did miss some of the scale and scope of that film. And I feel like the same with the Batman. I think to really fully appreciate this film, um, you almost do need to watch it on the big screen. I may feel, I'll watch it after watching it next week. I may come back and be like, well, you know what I said last Thursday, scratch that. But I feel like there's a lot of things in that film, and like you said, the tone and color and everything, the cinematography that it did need to be appreciated on the big screen.
Yeah, definitely. New owners of Warner Brothers are exploring overhaul of DC Entertainment.
Yeah, so this is news that dropped today. I guess the new so Warner Brothers was acquired by Discovery Networks, and that merger finally was approved by federal regulators. I want to say, I think last week or thereabouts. And so the new ownership group at Discovery Plus had a town hall today. I think Oprah may have actually hosted it, but one of the things that David Zaslav, the new head of the combined Warner Brothers Discovery, talked about was how that DC Entertainment as a whole has all this IP, in the comic book side, the film side, the TV side, and stuff, and really looking to create some synergies between all of those pieces of IP, because he made a point that, for example, Superman, he feels like has just been kind of a character that at least on the big screen has been languishing a bit, and I think it's fair to say with the DCEU and all the things that happened with it. You know, and whether or not Henry was coming back or not. I mean, you know, Superman's been kind of just hanging out there, but other properties have done pretty well on the big screen. And of course, you know, obviously Peacemaker and things have done gangbusters on like HBO Max. And so he was basically saying, you know, he's trying to look for a Kevin Feige type to blend both the creative and strategic. Because that's the thing that I think is really amazing about Feige. Is not only does he nail it on the creative side, but he's definitely got that strategic business savvy as well when you think about the MCU. And I think and so the new team at Warner Discovery are looking for that type of person moving forward to help them reshape DC Entertainment.
Well, I feel like I've heard this song before, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, but this time, I mean, they cleaned house as far as Warner. I mean, all the people that were there before, except for like I think Walter Hamada, who I think is, I was reading a Variety article. I think he's the only person that's still left, and you know, and obviously he's overseen some of the things that we really have enjoyed lately, like Doom Patrol and Peacemaker and some of the other stuff. But all the rest of those folks that were there at Warner Brothers who did not do such a great job of things, they're out the door. So so I think given this merger of the two companies, fresh eyes, we probably will have some real chance of some overhaul here.
Yeah. Maybe. Speaking about DC, we have some news that I feel like is 4 years old or something. I feel like we've had this headline in the past before, but it's official. Jesse L. Martin is leaving The Flash as a series regular in season 9 for a new show on NBC. He's expected to appear in up to 5 episodes of the season, though, because him and Tom Cavanaugh can never truly leave this series, can they? Yeah.
You can check out anytime you like. You can never leave.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that I mean, it does feel like we've had this before, but I guess part of the reason is I know Jesse had back trouble. I guess maybe it was a season or two ago, so that was why he was not around. So it was really health related more so than anything else. But yeah, he got cast in a new show that's going to be on NBC as the lead, and it is actually filmed. Interestingly enough, it is also filming in Vancouver. So I guess it would, scheduling wise, if everything lines up, he could do some guest shots like Tom has done, and maybe Carlos in the future on the Flash as well. But yeah, I mean, I think the bigger thing here is it just it seems more and more likely that next season is probably going to be the last, because I know in several of the news articles about this, I know the Hollywood Reporter had noted that some of the folks at Warner and CW were already starting to talk about, well, maybe doing like what we saw with the last season of Arrow, which is just an abbreviated final season. So, and I think Candace and Danielle are still in the process of negotiating their season 9 contracts, if they will come around. So it would not surprise me at the upfronts in May that they announce we're only going to do 10 episodes to tie up everything. And hopefully they don't try to do a backdoor pilot like they tried with Green Arrow and the Canaries. Hopefully they'll just let the story finish it out. Don't try to think they did the shoehorn backdoor pilot thing with Impulse and Excess this season, so they don't need to do it in the final season. So we'll see.
Yeah, I feel like we already got that backdoor pilot though.
Yeah.
Also, I mean, Robbie Amell, even with Jesse leaving, we have Robbie continues to come back every now and then.
Yeah, yeah.
Completely dies. As he appeared on this week's episode of The Flash, and he was recently cast in season 3 of The Witcher.
Yeah, yeah. So he will be he'll be cast in the third season. He's playing a character called Gallatin, and I don't play The Witcher, so I just saw this, and obviously, given that, as you noted, Robbie's all been a part of the Flash, and also I know we just talked about Upload a couple of weeks ago that just had its second season drop on Amazon Prime. So I think it's part of the reason why I included that. He'll be in the third season of The Witcher. That'll be coming to Netflix soon.
Yeah, we never talked season 2 of The Witcher.
I still gotta watch it. I haven't.
For some reason, I had it in my mind that you had watched.
I started it. I haven't finished it. I still got to get through it.
Got it. Yeah. The magic of the first season is not fully there, if I remember correctly, but you eventually get there. I feel as though, if I remember correctly, it leaves you in a place where you're like, okay, so this was just kind of let's get to season 3. let's make sure these players are exactly where we want them to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, Robbie Amell is very interesting. I can never figure out what he's gonna do next. He just always finds home on these random shows, and
yeah,
we'll see if he lasts on this one.
Yeah. I mean, because he's clearly having success with Upload, because it looks like they'll, if I recall, I think they are going to have a third season.
Yeah.
And he had that. I remember seeing, like, on the CW Seed some time ago. He was like, what was it, Tomorrow Guy or something like that? I mean, there was some other show that.
Tomorrow People.
Yeah, Tomorrow People. Yeah. So yeah, you're right. I mean, the guy he consistently finds work, and then he's doing a 4-episode stint with the Flash. I think he's halfway through that with this week's episode, where we get the big reveal of Deathstorm, with the CG version of the character and stuff. I mean, I know we had Deathstorm, I guess, way back in like season 2, whenever they went to Earth 2 for the first time. But yeah, it looks like he's the big bad for this graphic novel. So we'll see how that sort of plays out. Actually, this week I was actually kind of engaged with the show this week. I don't know if it's a commentary on Moon Knight and Picard or what, but we'll get into that later.
Oh yeah, we do have one more thing to cover. I'm like, why are we moving to it now? And then, of course, I forget the thing that and I'm so sorry, Will, I feel like I lied to you, because I told you I had watched everything, only to realize, no, I still haven't watched the season 4 Stranger Things trailer. I feel like
I just watched it for the first time
today.
My
intention is to go into season 4 of Stranger Things blind. I don't want to know. I don't want to see Eleven's face yet. I'm not there. Like, I'll see her when I get to actually watching the episode, but I don't want to see it right now. I don't want to see no nosebleeds happening.
Yeah, there were nosebleeds in the trailer, if I recall. It was I did watch it. It was like a 3.5 minute long full official trailer. I mean, they've had a bunch of teasers, but I guess this is like the big one. And it was a lot of stuff. I feel like I need to go back. One, I just feel like I just need to go back and just rewatch the third season, because it seems like it was 20 years ago, given how long between COVID and everything else, how long it got delayed, getting it filmed and whatnot. But it was a very packed trailer, and definitely hit all the vibes that we have come to know and expect from Stranger Things, as far as the nostalgia, and of course picking up the story where I think even in the teasers, it was, they've relocated from Hawkins, Indiana, and now they're, I think, in California. And so, yeah, I mean, it's it has the kids in their new relocated places. It has the sheriff, he's in the Russian prison. And so we see David Harbour and that, some scenes there. So it's a lot going on. And like I said, I feel like I need to go back and watch it. But the first block, because they're doing the fourth season of 2 volumes. First volume airs May 27th, which also is now the new release date of Obi-Wan. So it's going to be a lot of, so people are going to have to like do rock, paper. I guess you can knock out your Obi-Wan and then, then binge Stranger Things. And then the volume 2 drops July 1st.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, July and August seem more appropriate for Stranger Things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But
we'll see. A lot of things happen in May. Looking forward to Doctor Strange for sure.
Yep. May 6th. Gosh,
Right.
it's a lot going on.
Yeah, we're right now in quote unquote the calm. Calm in the content storm, for better or for worse. And then we're just gonna get hit with a landslide, overdose, and then it'll be calm again. This is the cycle. All the years we've been doing it, and it never gets boring.
Never does. And we also had The Boys in June too. So and then so we're gonna be doing juggling some content.
The Boys. I just like saying their name. Speaking about Marvel, we can tackle Moon Knight first as they head to Egypt. Yeah, this show, I'm so mixed about it. It's not even funny. I feel as though I want to like it more than I actually do.
Yeah, I am there with you. I think I finally hit that point. Whenever we were messaging back and forth about it last night, I hit that point too.
I mean, I feel as though the episodes or the parts of the episodes I've liked previously all had to do with the multiple identities. And I do recognize that we were teased a third identity in this episode.
Yeah.
So I am curious about the full reveal of that. But all of the God stuff, oh my God, there's just something about it that seems, I know I've said this before, a bit cheap and just underwhelming. I don't know what it is about it, but it's just, it feels as though that's one story while they're telling another story. I don't feel as though they've done a good enough job of really melding together Khonshu and what he's all about and folded it into this overall narrative or this overall mystery about who, and I'll just say this guy is, like, is he Steven? Is he Marc? Is he someone else?
Yeah. Well, I think I completely agree with you. Getting 2 things. I think we are getting a little bit closer to realizing I think Marc is the dominant personality. And because there was a line in this week's episode that, and also I think last week's as well, when he was talking to Layla, that when he was talking to Khonshu, I have Steven under control. I had Steven under control.
Right.
So I think Marc. Steven is basically is not a fully developed personality. That's as far as the 3 or 4 that's within the one body. Because Mr. Knight and Moon Knight are also 2 other personalities too.
Right.
So I think overall are like 5. It's a very crowded space with the 5 different personalities. It's not 64 like Jane and Doom Patrol, but still it's a lot to keep. He still has those 5 different personalities.
Yeah. It's also kind of a bummer though, because Marc, I'm finding, is a very boring character. He's very stereotypical. And
Hmm.
when Steven was in charge, it was a lot more interesting
Yeah.
because and granted, we should cling more to Steven because he's our avatar as a viewer throughout that whole entire first episode.
Hmm.
Like, what the fuck is going on right now? What is
Yeah.
happening? Um, but and I really liked this episode and how to get the job done, he needed to use Steven. And Steven knew it. Steven knew right
Yeah.
away, like, yeah, you gotta let me out. I know what to do. And I don't know, there was this innocence, and I really like that moment between him and Layla as they're putting together the map and everything. And I thought that was great.
Hmm.
And so maybe that's also what has been lacking for the last two episodes is we're mainly seeing Marc in action and
Hmm.
and have this tug of war with Khonshu when it's just like him versus Khonshu and not necessarily all of the personalities. And I get that they're kind of like using that as a mystery that they can toy with so you don't get all of them at once. But
Hmm.
and maybe it's because we've seen Jane for 3 seasons, but I don't
Yeah.
know. I feel like there was a better way they could have done this.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think that there probably could have been a better way. And Oscar Isaac again is selling it. I mean,
Right.
you know, thinking about the one, I guess, bright spot in the whole sequence and scenes and in the temple in the Pyramid of Giza, um, was pretty much Oscar Isaac's acting. I mean, as far as because the various avatars for all the various Egyptian gods, it was sort of like, you know, I don't like exposition for the sake of exposition, but at the same time, I feel like there's this story wise or something that just like we're just gonna drop this on you guys, and you're just gonna have to believe it and just ride with us here. And it just felt, we went from like, Khonshu talking to Marc about it, and then Harrow, trying to find Ammit, and then all of a sudden Khonshu's talking about, you got to go through this door to like go to the temple to talk to the gods, and if you screw up, I'm gonna get put in stone. And then we see Horus and all the other people, but it was just sort of like, I don't know, it was just very messy, very contrived, and it took me out of the episode, to be honest.
Interesting. I just found it to be boring. I'm like,
Well, that's why, and maybe that's why I found it took me out, because I was just bored by it. I was just like,
yeah.
okay, yeah,
Because it was a weird trial where we know what Harrow is doing, and so we're sitting here like, yeah, guys, what do you need? And
yeah,
Conscious like, there needs to be a prosecution. Okay, where's your freaking evidence? They're clearly not going to take you by word.
hmm,
So what's the point? So it felt like going into it, you're like, okay, so Harrow's just gonna talk his way out of this. So
yeah,
why are we doing this? Like you
yeah,
could see the end game before it began, so it just felt
exactly.
like a waste of time.
It did. That's exactly, yeah, that's exactly how I felt, because I was just like, okay, yeah,
Yeah. And it was funny because this whole episode, I was like, okay, so we're going on this path with the adventure. And then I feel like there were 3 or 4 mini episodes within this.
yeah, yeah,
And to your point about Oscar Isaac being the highlight and the reason why you or I don't, I'm not saying it's a bad show. It's not a stellar show because you get Oscar Isaac's performance, and I can't wait for the next Identity
hmm,
with how well he's playing Marc and Steven simultaneously. But to that point, this episode in particular, we got to see a lot more of Harrow and Ethan Hawke.
Mm-hmm.
And I did, even though the God stuff was like, and not well acted, I did appreciate that final moment between Khonshu and Harrow. And that, because that's another thing that they've kind of planted, or they're growing this other narrative of, before there was Marc, there was Harrow. Mm-hmm. And now Harrow's on the other playing for the other team. So what did happen? And I find I don't know. It's almost that they jumped the shark with the gods, where if they had an intention to do a second season for this show, maybe they wouldn't have had that. And it would have been more of a season with these parallel arcs of how Harrow fell out, the torment that Harrow experienced and how that led him to Ammit, versus what's going on with Marc, and how he came in debt and is now in servitude to Khonshu. So there could have been better if they had just held it on that. Instead, we're getting Marc's story, Harrow's story, and now Khonshu's story, which is this larger than life thing happening. But
yeah, I think you're right. I mean, and I'm glad you brought up the end, because I mean, it does. I mean, even though they did tell, even though we saw what was going to happen when Harrow talked to the gods about why Marc is broken and stuff. I mean, we did get, as I mentioned to you the other night, when you said this is a show that probably would fit better in a binge watch. I mean, I will say that even, I responded to you that then, and I'll, share here, is that I think there were little details, like, for example, in telling the story about why he's a broken man, and, thinking about Layla's story and her father being murdered, as an archaeologist, and going on the various digs and stuff. I mean, it seems to, it seemed to be pretty implied that part of the brokenness and why the indebtedness is there is because Marc has something to do with Layla's father's death. And then, so, I mean, there are like various threads, like you said, it seems like there's multiple things going on, or episodes going on within this one, because, I mean, with Layla and her story, they really, they really gave her some agency in this episode from the very beginning, with like whenever, because and I assume that was her mother or her helper. I wasn't quite sure who that was helping her create the passports and stuff, and given the backstory about her, her family and going to Egypt and stuff. But they really established her a lot more. And then also whenever she did have her situations with Marc, when they were on the boat to go to the Midnight Man's place, or maybe it was later, but they were just talking about how she doesn't know him, and or know the truth about Marc, even though they've been married and all that. So there's a lot of like threads that are going on in this show that, like I said, I think I almost feel like I need to like watch it, even though I know the scenes in the tomb do drag a bit, but I feel like I need to watch it again just to really pick up on all the various little subtext and things that are going on within all this dialogue that's being put out, because the show does have, I mean, it did pick up on the action this week, but it also does still have a lot of exposition.
I don't know, not any more exposition than Picard has.
Oh, well, that's another story for this week. But yeah, but I will say one other little note about Moon Knight. I felt that was finally tied to the rest of the MCU, was the little drop to Maripor. that was dropped in there. It's like, hey, Falcon and Winter Soldier, we finally get some ties back to the MCU because it has
Yeah.
been pretty divorced otherwise.
Which maybe is another reason why I'm not fully on board with this show, because the more where I'm like, it's not connected, the more I'm just like, I don't know if I can invest.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, I'm glad for the change of pace. I did say that before, and I'm still glad for the change of pace in the sense that, one of the great things about the MCU, especially in Phase 4, I mean, they are taking more chances. I mean, we are getting, between the Eternals and this, and even Shang-Chi, and we're really leading, and now, with Doctor Strange and stuff, and we're leaning heavily in the magical and mystical now, and Moon Knight. So, I mean, I guess if that's the theme for Phase 4, it's like, and the Eternals, we're going to lean heavy into gods beyond just Thor.
Right, definitely. All right, let's move on to Picard and Friends.
Yeah.
Picard and Friends. So this episode, I feel like it ended 4 times. Where I'm just like, it's still going? Oh, okay. That's right. We were doing that other side B plot. Sure. Yeah. And basically, most of the episode, about a good 75%, we were stuck in Picard's head, being told a fanciful story that who was the director of, I'm picturing his face, but I can't think of his name right now, and it's a really hard one to say. So but anyways, yeah, we were told a story about as his father psychoanalyzes him, and it's part 1 essentially of how his mother died.
Yeah. I figured I had to say, just to go out of universe for just a second. I'm sure you were appreciating the Baltar being the psychologist.
Baltar?
Yes, that was James Callis from Battlestar Galactica.
Okay. Oh. Yeah.
I thought about you because I was like, hey, you're gonna have a Battlestar Galactica tie-in.
I did not make that connection at all.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, who are you talking about? I don't know what's going on with my voice, but yeah, I watched the episode. I didn't really think about it.
Okay. I just know how big of Ronald D. Moore version of Battlestar Galactica fan you were, so I just figured I'd just drop that in there. But
well, I am. I haven't watched it in so long that I guess I've forgotten everybody except for Katie Sackhoff.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, but getting back in universe as far as the story, so here's where I liked the episode, but so there's an issue, because I know you don't watch some of the other Star Trek shows, other live action shows on Paramount Plus, but I'm feeling that pacing and structure is a problem with the new Trek in the live action context, because I feel like both this show and Discovery are taking some detours into places that probably should have been. This episode should have at least the components of Picard's backstory and the trauma of Jean-Luc that he's being forced to overcome this season should have got. Honestly, they should have explored that earlier in the season, because I feel like by doing it now, and you got like all these other stories, like you said, with Seven and Rafi and Girardi and the Borg Queen and other things, I felt like I was like getting jerked around a bit as far as taking me back to some things from the first part of the season, where now we're at the place where we're trying to like figure, trying to save Renee and get into April 15th and getting back to the future and stuff.
Yeah. I'm still stuck on this Battlestar Galactica. I'm so taken aback by. Wait, who was it?
Yeah.
Who was it?
Baltar. The psychologist is Picard's father.
No. I understand that part, but
yeah.
I'm saying, like, what character from Battlestar was it?
Baltar.
Who the fuck was Baltar?
Yeah, Gaius Baltar, the guy who betrayed the Colonials.
Okay.
Remember, he had
there
Lucifer?
were a lot of people who portrayed.
Yeah, but remember, his consort was Lucifer. She was he was the one he was the primary person who betrayed the colonies to the Cylons.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just saying okay, but I have still no idea. It's been a while. Damn.
Yeah.
No, you're right. There's some issues with pacing, and it's just it's not. It was just weird because, and I guess weird's the wrong word. Let me try to figure out what I'm trying to say. This whole thing with the love relationship with I want to say Rios. Is it Rios? Rios.
Yeah.
Okay. With Rios, I think is stupid.
Yeah.
Because, like, why? And then we had these bits with Ralphie and Seven, where we've seen Ralphie for, I don't want to say 99% of the season just be sad and grieving the loss of her not son, person she barely knew for 5 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. And then suddenly she's having this back and forth with Seven. And again, maybe this is what's bothering me, is like we still haven't had anyone really point out how happy Seven is right now. Mm-hmm. Like, we were speculating about it before. Like, Seven is in a good place, and yet Ralphie's all up in arms about what Rios is doing, and she's not realizing, like, hey, Seven might have some ulterior motives too. But granted, Seven right now is on the Borg Queen hunt. Yeah. And I was missing that. I was missing my Agnes and Borg Queen dynamic this episode.
Yeah. Speaking of Rios, I guess that's the thing with him, like, just basically timeline be damned, I'm gonna fall in love with this woman, with Dr. Teresa, and it just seems out of character. Because before Rios was like all about the mission, about getting back to the Stargazer, his getting back to the future without any interruptions to the top, try to with minimal butterflies, if not any. And then now he's like, Captain Kirk 2.0, Star Trek 4 with the Wells, just switch out Iowa for Chile, and then they did another like nod back to a movie. So I guess the thing that feels kind of hard for me with this series is I just feel like they're spinning their wheels in some regard. And they're just like, okay, we have, basically we have this story where we got to like get to, we got to find the Watcher. We found, so we can like get the Watcher to help us get the timeline reestablished correctly. We found Watcher. We save Renee, and then, but we're going to go on this little side journey to figure out, why Picard is, answering a question that should have been answered earlier in the season about why Picard is so detached from from close relationships, even though he's otherwise a fully well put together person. And I just feel like it's a manufactured like trauma that Picard is having to overcome. And another thing too, I was watching it tonight. I was telling my wife, I'm like, where's Picard's brother in all this? Because I don't think they may have mentioned Robert this season, but I think maybe the first episode, but otherwise I haven't heard anything about it. So I don't know if they're like, because whenever we first meet Picard's brother in the Next Generation, I mean, they're very estranged, and it would be interesting to see, like, with their mother's bipolar disorder, how did that lead to the estrangement, and then of course we get introduced. We learn that he creates his dad as a psychoanalyst to be in this dream here. The only other time we saw anything about his father before was just a throwaway line, I think, in Tapestry, one of the episodes of Next Generation, where or one of the episodes, but we just know that his dad was just very strict and stern. And so, but so they fleshed this out a little bit. But I mean, I guess at the end of the episode, I guess when Picard was talking to Talos about the lessons Q always tries to teach him, I mean, I guess this is why they decided to add this particular point to the story at this point, to show us, Q's always trying to teach Picard a lesson, but now Picard's going to be like, well, I'm going to change the equation here and try to teach Q a lesson, especially given that Q doesn't have his powers right now. So, yeah, it just seems like, again, I just felt like I don't know. I see where the end game is going, but they lean so much into like fan service and prior lore of the shows. I mean, that it just feels like sometimes it just feels like padding, because they're like, we only have like really 15 minutes of content, but we're going to stretch it out to 45.
Yeah, it's funny how you say manufactured, because me not knowing any of the lore or anything, I'm sitting here watching it and feeling as though it's a bit manufactured, because I'm like, dude, how old are you again? And you still haven't like gotten this, you're still reliving this trauma. And how many episodes of television have you been
Yeah, and that's just it. I mean, yes.
It's just weird. It's just
yes. Exactly. I mean, this is a fully functional, fully fleshed out character. So I just, at this juncture, you're right. It's just like, and you as a non-Star Trek, viewer who hasn't like watched all 7 years of the TV show and the films and everything. I mean, you've probably seen it bits and pieces here and there, but yeah. And if you're picking up on it, then imagine, like I said, I'm watching and I'm just like, okay, why are we going here now? And really, do we need to explore this about Jean-Luc?
Right. I think why the first season worked relatively well is because it was about Picard, but it was more Picard helping others, and being introduced to their dilemmas, and kind of being that father figure, that mentor, and that lead. And then this season has been way more Picard heavy, and which is causing the imbalance the other way, where the B stories are not the best, and he's so wrapped up in his whole trauma that he it's almost like we have his show going on, and then every now and then we'll check in with the other show. And some of those I could care less about, like, where's Agnes?
That's that. Yeah, I was so happy when, I mean, I guess they figured, well, we focused a lot on Agnes and the Borg Queen in the last two episodes, so this week we'll just show them on the screen, the Borg Queen, which we pretty much, we didn't call it exactly, but we were like, pretty close as far as like, they're going to come here to try to create a new Borg, universe, Borg world, whenever Agnes was taken over by her, will merge with her, and so I guess that'll be the third act for the season. It was just like, okay, we're going to go on the Borg hunt and give Seven more to do, other than because I feel like Seven's been kind of pushed to the background the last few episodes.
Oh yeah. Yeah, a lot of people have, and the things that they're focusing on, like Rios and this doctor, are things like, I'm like, I can't invest in that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I get Rios. I mean, seeing Picard as a father figure and stuff, I get that, but it just seems that with the way they've established Rios, it just seems like I just don't see him being that given where he was when he first started this mission, and even before, and now he's like basically falling for someone that he knows is not going to work unless she ends up going back to the late 24th, early 25th century with them, which, again, will have all kinds of like, butterfly and timeline repercussions. So, it's a relationship that's doomed to fail.
Right.
So it's like hard to get, assuming, it's a relationship that it's hard to get completely invested in, because unless they like break their own continuity rules, which I mean, they might do that. It can't happen. But we'll see. And then Rafi. I mean, I did like the Rafi 7 banter back and forth, because that I've missed that. I mean, it was like, oh, yeah, they're back. Yeah, they're back. But and it was also, and then we get Ganon again, and the summoning the Q, and again they kind of ham-handedly fleshed out the backstory between the Elorians and the Q and their Cold War, which then tying back into the lore, the FBI, the agent that shows up at the bar, he is a character that was originally in Star Trek Voyager, and who was part of a starship that was tasked with keeping the timeline intact. So I'm expecting that this federal agent, he's just masquerading as a federal agent. I think he's future guy from the Federation. Somehow he's managed to remain unchanged from like our heroes here have been able to, and try to help them restore things as it should be. So from the Starship Relativity. So that's my theory. We'll see what happens.
It sounds like an episode of The Flash.
Yeah. Anytime we get things timey-wimey stuff, it definitely, yeah. We even had a drop of Quantum Leap in this episode, so I was like, hey, yeah. But and of course the reveal that Talos is indeed a Romulan. So it's like, okay, yeah, they're just tying all these threads together.
Tying all the threads that we expected to get tied, and putting in some threads that were like, yeah, we saw that coming, but we could care less. They're doing what they're doing.
Yeah, but like I said, even though with all those quibbles, I'm still enjoying this season. It's just, as a Star Trek fan, it's just great to have all this content out here right now, even good, bad, in between.
Yeah. No, I hear that. I've heard other people say that as well. So I'm happy for you. And I'm sticking to the ride. I'm not necessarily enjoying the ride right now, but I'm sticking with it. We'll see it through.
Yeah, well, 3 more. I think we got 3 more episodes. So yeah, so we're getting to the finish line.
Yeah. All right. Well, on that note, why don't you tell our listeners where they can find you?
Yes, you can find me at Will M Polk. That's WILLMPOLK on Twitter.
And you can find me at SJ Belmont, SJBELMONT. Please follow our crew on Twitter at SNN Nerd. Friend us on Facebook. Follow us on Instagram. And visit our website, www.scenannerdpodcast.com. But most importantly, rate, follow, and comment on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Google Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Good night, Geek Out. You're welcome.